Let's begin our first project. When we begin a project, the first thing that we want to do is we want to get our viewports and our unit measurements set up. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, just as before where we changed this from wireframe to default shading, we want to do that. We want to do that every time because if you'll remember, I'm going to make a box right here. That when, and right click to just quit making boxes, that you'll see these ones are in wireframe and we don't want that. We want them to be solid. So let's go on back up here to our various viewports. Just click in the viewport, hover over the word where it says wireframe and just change that. Do that for all the viewports. So we've got our box here. If we were to take a look at this box, come on over here to the command panel, and we're gonna become real good friends with the command panel here in just a little bit. And right now you're in the Create tab. Let's move over to the Modify tab. When we go to the Modify tab, we get the parameters and all kinds of other things that have to do with our primitive, in this case our box. Okay, so you'll see here it says length 44.616, and same thing with the width, and then the height was a little bit different. These are just random numbers and generic units that are set up. I just dragged the box out any old size, did not think about what size it was. Okay, and you might have done the same. So now what we want to do is we want to change these generic units to real world measurements. This is how you do that. Go over here to your drop down menus and find Customize. Click on Customize and go on down to Unit Setup. In the Unit Setup you'll see that you're probably on generic units. What you want to do is we want to change it to US Standard. And we want to change it from feet with fractional inches to feet with decimal inches. The default units is feet. And we're going to say OK. Now if you're not familiar with feet and inches and how to read a ruler, please go on and on your own time become familiar with that. It's pretty simple, just 12 inches to a foot. And take a look at that. So, but if you're not familiar with the denotation of feet and inches, feet has a comma after it. That's how you know it's feet. And inches has a quotation after it. And that's how you know it's inches. So you'll see in these units areas your feet with the comma and the inches with the quotation. Okay, so now that we have it set up to feet and inches, let's make this box into a regular size, the size that we, let's say, actually wanted it to be. So let's just say that we wanted the length of this box to be 5 feet. Okay, so I've highlighted this area. I'm going to type in 5 and say enter. Instantly it's going to give me 5 feet, because remember we set our default unit as feet. Okay, 5 feet with 0 inches. Now our width, let's say that we wanted that to be 5.5 feet. So highlight this in our width. I'm going to go 5.5 because if it was 6 inches or half a foot, 5.5, and say enter, and there you can see that that's changed and it's 5 feet 6 inches. Okay, and for our height, let's say we only want it to be, let's say, 8 inches. So I'm going to highlight this area here for the height, and I'm going to say, okay, 8. Then with the quotations after it, that's going to give me inches, and say enter. And you can see now this is just 8 inches. So we've got a length of 5 feet, a width of 5.5 feet, and a height of 8. We're going to change these dimensions a little bit for our project, but that's the important thing for this video is just that you change your shading from wireframe to default shading in that you change the units by going to Customize, selecting the unit setup, make sure it's on US standard, feet with decimal inches. Alright, so now we're going to build a stage and put a few things in that stage and take a picture.